Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Tattoos and Toddlers podcast, where I bring all kinds of people on. We have good conversations about businesses, family, all these wonderful things that we come together to talk about. And it's such a wonderful time to have Dove on today. I'm so excited to introduce you. If you're watching on the video, he's waving at you. It's amazing. Dove, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, I just want to say when we met, it was about 6 months ago at the PPC 2024, which was an amazing event. To those of your listeners who are not familiar with PPC, it's a Promoting Passion convention led by the famous artist Brooke Shaden. And Jen was one of the very inspirational speakers at the beginning. I was very much impressed by her speech. And so this hints to the fact that I am a digital artist, but I'm retired from a career of 33 years as a rocket propulsion scientist. So you can say you're talking to a rocket scientist,
Oh, yes.
although although you don't have to be a rocket scientist to be a rocket scientist.
Okay, so
Okay,
this is great.
as you can judge by my accent, I am a foreign national. I live in Israel. I was born in Israel, but I visited the US for two sabbatical leaves. First one in 81 to 82, which I did at the Air Force Rocket Propulsion Laboratory at Edwards Air Force Base in California.
Wow.
And then I came for 2 more years in 87 to 89, again, the same institute under a different name. Then it was called, I think, the Air Force Rocket Astronautics Laboratory or whatever the name was then. But my main activity was in the field of rocket propulsion. I'm long retired. I took early retirement at the age of 58 and something, and I'm retired for 18 years now.
That's amazing.
Uh,
Like, how would I have ever known that you were a rocket scientist? Never would have known that. That's amazing.
well, this was on my badge at the PPC.
Was it? I blanked out, probably didn't see it. I barely probably remembered to wear my own name tag. No, but I love this about hearing this about you because you don't know this about me, but when I first started in college, I went to Aerospace Academy. They had a summer camp in Oklahoma where I went to summer camp in Aerospace Academy, and then I also did it again at the ACE Academy, which is Aviation Careers Exploration. And then I started to go into college for like this engineering thing, but I was like, I very quickly realized it was not for me. But I still love air travel. I love space. I love science fiction. I love all that stuff, just not as a
Okay.
career.
Here
So it
we
was
have
so
another thing in
interesting.
common, science fiction.
Huh?
We have another thing in common. I have a science fiction. One
Yes,
of the
yes.
first novels that I wrote was about an incident related to science fiction.
I love that because you're like this little artistic science nerd kind of person, sounds like.
Yeah, I remember I was still active in this aerospace company when I wrote my first novel, which was titled "The End of the Millennium." It was
Wow.
published two years prior to the end of the millennium, and people were looking at me as if I have fallen out of the sky. Where would you see an engineer writing a novel? Well, everybody was referring to me as the novelist. And I was always the weird person at the weird place.
I love that though, because this is something you wouldn't expect. And I know we had only just met, and I have to say that it was such an interesting time at PPC last year because we had so many people coming in from all different countries instead of just the US. And it was thrilling to get to meet so many different new people and then see how, culturally we might talk about different things and how artistically would talk about different things. And it was just so much fun to see everybody in their element, whatever that element was.
I
Now,
sure hope to see you again in when's that? September.
oh, I hope so. Are you planning on coming?
Hopefully, I bring over my wife too.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, I'm eagerly awaiting the registration.
February 7, I think.
Yep, we're waiting on the registration and it should be very soon. And yeah, I hope to see you again too. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
So as we're diving into our conversation, I know that we initially started this thinking about some things, but I also love the fact that you just told me you're a scientist, retired, but I'm sure that stuff never leaves you too. But we also talked about the fact that you're heavy into grandparenting right now, which I thought was interesting because, and we talked about this briefly before, that my husband was really hands-on with his grandparents growing up, so they had a heavy hand in helping raise him. So I find that dynamic actually quite beautiful to be hands-on with your grandchildren and like, just how have you found grandparenting? Tell me that a little bit.
Okay, let me start first with my grandfather.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my parents divorced when I was probably less than 3 years old. And I was born, my mother and my parents came to Israel. I think it was like 3 weeks after the declaration of the Israeli independence from the British Mandate, in the middle of our what we call our independence war.
Hmm.
So two young people, 21 years old, they were after the Holocaust in Romania, and they traveled. They went by foot from Romania to France, and then they tried to go to get to Israel. They were stopped by the British Navy, deported to Cyprus, and 3 weeks after the state of Israel was established, I came with my mother, actually inside my mother.
Aw.
And I had a very nice incident a few months ago, when I took my granddaughter to the illegal immigration museum, which we have here in Haifa, Israel. And I told her all the story. I mean, for her, she was born into an independent state. She
Yeah.
is not familiar with all the history. And I told her that I came on board my mother as an illegal immigrant to Israel. And I asked her, "Do you think I was a illegal immigrant?" She, "Oh, no, no." She declines to see me. So, as I told you earlier, my parents got divorced when I was less than 3 years old, and my mother moved in with my grandparents.
Hmm.
So the adult or the male figure that I had in my life was my grandfather, and I love him dearly. He passed away almost 40 years ago, but I think there is no week that I do not remember him, what he did for me. He was like a father to me.
Yeah.
He taught me so many things, but the thing that I most remember is his love and dedication. So he was an excellent role model for me for grandparenting. I
Oh,
have now five grandparents and a sixth in the making. So I have two sons. They are both university professors, and one lives like 10 minutes away from my place. He
yeah.
has a son and a daughter, and this is the daughter I'll be taking tomorrow to the ballet show of The Sleeping Beauty. And we
Oh,
are very much attached. I have excellent, amazing relationship with all my grandkids. My closer grandkids are, I'm taking care of them together with my wife. We take them out from school 3 times a week from roughly around 1 p.m. And they spend time with us until, well, ranging between 6 and 7 p.m. I
wow.
take them, we feed them. Every day is a cooked meal, the things that they love. And we take them to their after school activities. And the same applies to my other son that lives like an hour drive from my place. And he has three kids, and we love them dearly, and we try to spend with them as much time as we can. For example, some of the things that I do with my grandkids from that live close to me, the 7 years old is into Photoshop and AI.
Uh-huh.
So we do that together.
That's
And
cute.
well, and her brother, elder brother, who is 12, he's already an expert on Photoshop. He does the things. He doesn't even need me anymore. So he has some very special, they do some very special project at school. I taught him everything he knows about video editing and Photoshop and AI and everything. So you should see a 12 years old kid, adult, let's call him,
Yeah.
adolescent, doing all the PowerPoint presentation with animations and things that go on AI, all the most advanced tools that I command. And it's for him, it's nothing.
That's
If I
awesome.
try to explain this thing to my wife, she would never understand what we're talking about.
Well, I think that's great that you can relate to your grandkids on, I'm sure they're all different in some way, right? But you find ways to just instantly connect with them even through that kind of thing, like Photoshop and all the other things. And I was just thinking about recently, my daughter is very creative. She comes by it honestly, I think, in our line of family, but she will pick up almost anything. I haven't gotten her into the digital arts yet, but I really enjoy her drawing and painting. It feels like a little piece of me when I was growing up. Like I used to just pick up a pencil and draw things and pens, pencils, markers, and just create. So she's super, super like instantly like almost confident in a way about her craft at such a young age. And I think that's so neat to see how her life is very much different yet the same as mine. Have you seen sort of a little bit of your childhood sort of reflected in the grandkids? Or is it just like, I don't know, how's that been for you to like work with
Okay,
them and see things?
we live in totally different worlds. I mean, we're two different generations apart.
Yeah.
I grew up as a single child to a divorced mom, and we had financial difficulties, and the times were different, and especially in Israel at that time. I mean, food was rationed.
Mm-hmm.
You had to have like special tickets to get an egg. I mean, the economic situation was terrible. Luckily enough, our situation has improved significantly, and we can afford and provide them with all the help that we want. And I'm saying that I don't want my grandkids to have the things, to not have the things that I didn't have when I was a child. And we send them to any after school activities like ballet, like physical activities, computers, public speaking, and
Love it.
Dungeons and Dragons. My my older grandson is into Dungeons and Dragons and all these other things that they can do, and I'm very happy to support them in this thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I have, as I said, I have two main pillars of my existence. One is my art, and the other one is my family,
Yeah.
and are very, very strong.
And I love that. And it does come across in your art too. Like you, and I haven't been able to keep up with because you like make art so much, which is so great. Because I'm like, all these concepts coming out one after the other, and they're very self-reflective because they're self-portraiture, right? Like you do mostly
I do
self-portraits.
that self-portraiture. I got the license, quote unquote, from Brooke.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I followed her some of her classes, and I said, well, this could be a good idea to follow. At the beginning, I was very shy and things like that, but I gained some confidence, and right now I'm doing some complicated things.
Yeah.
In many cases, I appear my images between 2 and 5 times. In one occasion, 31 times. But yeah, this is a very interesting field that I'm into it.
Yeah, and it seems like it's not boring for you at all. It gives you that little dance of technical and artistic at the same time, right?
Yeah, exactly, because it caters to both of things that I think I'm good at. Uh, Scientific skills. I mean, there is a lot to learn and know in Photoshop, and when you shoot an image, you need to know exactly from which angle and which kind of lens to use, and so many technical things. But the main thing is to say something. I want to say something in each one of my images. Uh, I'm not going to show any one of my images now in our interview, but if you look at my website, you could find many examples of the things that I do.
Yeah, and there's so much like if y'all are listening to this or watching this and you're curious as to why I'm bringing this part up, is because you should go check out some of Dove's work and see how some of them feel very introspective and very to the point. That you might find yourself in some of those images.
Maybe you can attach somehow my URL, my
Yeah, I
website.
will definitely do that in the show notes so everybody can find you and
Uh-huh.
as we talk about you and some of the work that you're doing. So, do your grandkids give you input on your work? Do they see your work and does it interest them at all to hear about a little bit more about you and your story?
Sure. Yeah. Especially my eldest. I mean, she is 14 and a half, and we come to their place somewhere between once every week or once every other week. And she wants to know exactly how I'm doing, and she wants to look at the new things that I created. And we have talks about that. What does it mean, and so on. So
Yeah, and
it's a great pleasure.
yeah, I was gonna say that reaffirms your family. So you have like, that family time and that quality time and them actually getting to know you a little bit, which so many of us have been so closed off from certain things in our life that, I know that my grandparents really didn't share anything about them. Like there wasn't really anything I knew about my grandparents except that they were my grandparents.
Mhm.
But you have like this opportunity to share pieces of who you are with the grandkids.
I enjoy very much talking to young minds.
Yeah.
The way they look at the world is so very, I mean, we've seen things 1,000 times. There are
Yeah.
so many things that they see for the first time, and
Yeah.
it's a totally different experience. And occasionally my wife says, well, when she tried to say some unpleasant things about you behave like a kid. I said, oh, but thank you for the compliment.
Because I think us we'll spend a lot of time in our lifetime. I was just thinking about this week, how true it is when kids see the world, it's such a limited and unjaded perspective usually. And it's us adults that are trying to get back to that viewpoint of let's just see the world. There's so much beauty and darkness at the same time. And where can we find the beauty in the things and but also talk about the darkness? It's like but having a kid who doesn't necessarily understand the totality of the world, it kind of helps you just kind of stay grounded in your childlike manner, I think.
Tomorrow I'll be taking my youngest granddaughter to the ballet.
Yeah.
She's an amazing dancer, and we finally managed to find a good teacher that will teach her. So originally we planned to go to this ballet about a year and a half ago, but then the war started, and we were scheduled. We had tickets for the Georgian ballet to come over and with their Swan Lake. So they canceled this show because they didn't show up. It was delayed by a year. Again, they didn't show up. Eventually, they gave us tickets to the Sleeping Beauty, which we'll be seeing tomorrow. And I look forward to going with her and experience with her the joy of seeing the Israeli ballet is a very good team. And I mean, as I said earlier, she's a dancer.
Yeah.
She's very talented in my ex-daughter-in-law family, which I'm in very good relations with, and they are dancers. I mean, her cousin is a professional dancer, and I mean, the genetic is responsible for this part of it.
Yes. Which is why I like seeing my little girl like explore her creative options. She's in a dance class, but is not necessarily for becoming a professional dancer, but it gives her the chance to explore dance as a whole. And I am so glad to give her that opportunity because I'm the kind of person who I'll just kind of dip my toes into all things creative and not necessarily have to have a professional path. But of course, now photography is my professional path, but like it wasn't always that way. So it's like I just
Especially
kind of found my
the
way.
weird weddings.
Yeah, I'm doing all these wonderful weddings and I've been it took me a while because you know how
Is there
photography
a
there's like
special niche for that?
very special niche and it's taken me this long to get here, add on 14 years. But as a photographer, you have so many different directions you can go as a profession, at least still currently. And then there's like subcategories underneath that, and then just all kinds of different things where when you're just exploring the art for the art's sake, it's just kind of like nice to play a little bit. And we've been talking about play a lot this week too. Some of us, just talking with friends and talking with people, we've been talking about play and how, well, obviously, if we have kids in our lives, we learn how to play a little bit too.
I play with them as equal, hopefully. I'm not sure exactly how they feel about this stupid old man who is trying to play as a kid, but no, I think that I'm just exaggerating intentionally.
Yeah, and I think I've noticed when in anybody who's dealing with the heaviness of the world or anything like that, and I find that our art forms can be a release to a certain point of the heaviness and but also like learning to play in the midst of all this chaos has been helpful for I'm sure many of us. I know that every once in a while I just like I've been painting my clothing. Like that's my new thing this last couple of weeks is I'm just painting clothing. I painted a winter jacket, I painted some jeans. Um I just had a vision pop in my head and I was like, well, I'll just go make it. It's not a big deal. But I consider that creative play. So,
Yeah, I mean, the last year and almost and a half have been here very, very tough.
yeah.
There was like 2 or 3 months that I was totally shut down, didn't create much.
Yeah.
But well, I came out of it and I'm doing, I mean, every week I'm doing like at least one image or two, which I publish in a very, very prestigious digital gallery.
Yeah.
You're with 1X. So that's where I publish my things, other than this stupid Facebook thing about
Yeah.
this is just for my friends. But I judge myself according to the things that I managed to publish in respectable venues.
Yeah, because there's something about your art leaving your home and your space and going out into something that's specifically curated for people to enjoy in the art world. And I know I have tons of art hanging in my house. You couldn't see it if I showed you, but like I have tons of art hanging in my house that has never left my house. But when somebody, say, buys a print from me or one of my clients print out something and hang it on their wall, I feel like I have made it into a gallery. Like that's
Yeah, I'll have an exhibition in a very reputable gallery in Tel Aviv in October.
oh,
So
fantastic.
yeah, it's my third solo.
Very awesome. I have yet to do a solo. It's very intimidating for me.
I
We'll
think
see.
you have a very good advisor with Brooke. I think
Yeah.
she could tell you so many things, and I think you should try and do it.
Yeah, it's one of those, things that's been on my mind, but I haven't put it a little bit further up on the burners of my personal stove. And this few these top 3 months here at the beginning of the year, I was going to start playing with the idea of where do I want to take my art this year and like my actual art, Not the weddings, not the speaking, but where could I take my art this year that I haven't done before? Because I've always just kind of shoved it off to the side. Like I make it, but I don't make it a point to talk about it. And I know that there's so much I've been sitting on I could probably talk about.
Do you define yourself as an artist?
Huh?
How do you define yourself as an artist?
Like as an actual name or like
I
I
do self-portraiture with the surrealist touch.
oh yeah, oh my gosh, I don't even know. Like I feel like I'm a minimalist, a conceptual minimalist. We'll call it that
There
for
was
now
one
because
image that I saw, I think it was today that I saw on Instagram. It's everything is blue and there's just this tip of your hair.
oh
And
yeah.
I liked it. I pressed the like button on for this one.
Yes, so that I worked with a photographer in Ireland and I kept telling him I liked these creepy images without showing my face. And he says, but we need to show your face too. And I said, I know, but go with me. And so I had put on the hood and I flipped my hair, believe it or not, because I have no hair compared to everybody else. And I just flipped it and he caught it midair. And I was like, that's just fantastic. I mean, so I can't count that as a self-portrait,
Yeah, I
but
mean
it is a
the
portrait of me.
colors, the blue and the pink are so go together so
Yes.
nicely.
Yeah, that was right before PPC last year. It was like literally days before I walked into the door at PPC.
Mm.
And I felt really good about the decision that I made to be in front of the camera, but not me clicking the shutter. I can't do it. Just
I
don't,
have a
it doesn't,
special.
I don't have the same feel.
I have a remote control on my cell phone,
Yeah.
and every shot I take it's my shot. I do everything. I'm a one-man show.
I love that though, because and that's why I like hanging around Brooke and other people that do self-portraits because it does open up my eyes to possibility just to explore myself. I just right now I don't do it in photography. I do it more in writing and other things. Like the speaking, I've really been exploring myself um quite a bit. And then the imagery, I would probably have to dig a little bit deeper to. I used to do it for a short season right after I had my daughter. And I did a few that are still meaningful to me, and I actually printed them out and put them on the wall. But otherwise, I prefer to work with other people, which is it's just so much easier. And I have little to no patience for myself.
I was so amazed when I saw this wedding that you were responsible for, the one with the dinosaurs.
Oh my gosh, they were the sweetest couple.
Why would anyone want to be married in costume of a dinosaur? This
They
good.
it was so great. And here's what I love about all my clients. They have their own ways of expressing themselves, and they truly wanted to surprise everybody and make them laugh. And they did. And I was laughing too because they kept getting the costumes wrong because clearly he was much taller than her. And so they kept getting in the wrong costume and they switched like twice. It
This is
was
something I
great.
would never even in my wildest dream of.
Yeah, there's so many things about working in weddings where I find that being an artist helps them. Like they're already creative, but my artistic vision could also help them with their decorations or their attire or the photos that we might put together, just based on creativity alone. And it's kind of fun to just play with that idea. And oh, here we go. We've got our last few minutes that we're going to wrap up our conversation. But this has been so much fun to sit with you for an extended period of time and talk about art and grandparents and how they've, been a piece of our lives and how you're a piece of your grandkids' lives.
Yeah.
So what can we leave somebody with today in any of these worlds that we're dancing in right now, like parenting, grandparenting, artwork, self-expression? What should we leave people with today that kind of like inspires them to go do their own thing? I
Would
know,
you
tough question.
please rephrase this question?
So let's say you wanted to inspire somebody in their grandparenting. How would you do that? spend more time
It's
with them
having the
or
opportunity to go back in time, your time machine, and meet in some way yourself as at the age of your grandkids, which is an amazing experience. And to see and try and see the world from their side, because we have old eyes. I mean, we've seen all the things. I'm 76. I've seen everything at least a million times. And they see it for the first, many things they see it for the first time. And you see their enthusiasm and their surprise and their pleasure and their occasionally grief.
yeah.
So, and you try to protect them and have fun together with them as long as you are still around. As my granddaughter just told me, you know, Grandpa, when I'm gonna be big, if you still exist, I'll come over and be with you.
That's a real conversation right there. I love that. I love that the younger generations, they really have a way of communicating with us who are a little bit on the older side. I know that I have a small generation gap with my daughter, but it's not as wild as, in my
We
70s, but
are 70 years apart, almost.
yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. And I'm glad that you're able to connect with them no matter the generations. And I think that such a great
I
opportunity to
cherish
learn.
every second I'm with them. I mean, I haven't
Yeah.
seen my granddaughter for the last time she was here was on Monday because every Thursday we split. It's our place or their mom's parents' place.
Yeah.
So I miss her dearly, and I want to see her tomorrow. I'll see her tomorrow. Well, it's
Love it.
tomorrow, it's Saturday here, and it's not our duty, but I'm taking her anyway.
I love it. And I
Yeah.
love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on with me today, Dove. I'm so glad
Whatever.
that we could, well, first of all, catch up, but I love hearing more about your family and how y'all are so connected in a way that is very inspiring to me. Um, and I just love that you came on to share with us today. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you, and hopefully I'll see you in September. Face
Absolutely.
to
I'm
face.
counting on it. All right,
Okay,
everyone. Until the next episode of Tattoos and Toddlers, I wish you well, and we'll talk to you soon.